Hello and welcome to American Truck Simulator. We are off on our way to go get some Halloween treats and we will deliver those today. So, let's see here. Got my turn signals going and they probably shouldn't be. So today we are going to be talking about staying the course. That's going to be the theme of our video while we drive along. I think it's important to set a course and then you stick to it, right? You don't necessarily have cause to believe that it's the best course. Like we don't necessarily know that. But you stay the course. And quite often we feel like, there's things we don't have in our control. So I guess it's easy to just feel like, what's the point? And so we aren't good stewards of the things we have. If you don't believe something's possible, then what's going to really make you push? What's going to make you say, I'm going to give 100% to this because I believe in it? Like you're not going to do it because you don't believe it's possible. You don't know if it's possible. So we don't ever give enough to actually push through that hard part and then get to the other side. It's important to have a sense of routine, to have a sense of faithfulness even when you're not necessarily feeling it. And you do that by just hanging on to an idea that you had. And every day you come back to it. And you say, I'm going to continue onward. Even if I don't necessarily know that this endeavor is going to bear fruit. And then you work on the little things. And you make sure that you are 100% on all of your personal obligations. And it's easy to feel like that's not really enough. It's not enough to just say that I kept a good house and I went to work and I was faithful to my commitments. Like that, it just doesn't feel like that's enough of a legacy. We want to say, well, I did more. And yet, quite often, when we do demonstrate faithfulness in small things and we just make sure that we're 100% on all the stuff that we needed to do, then we're in a good place to be ready, to be prepared when there is an opportunity for us to take advantage of a bigger opportunity or to step up in some particular way. So being faithful in small things so that you can be entrusted with big things, I think that that's important. I also think it's important to focus on fewer things, because when you focus on fewer things and you do those things well, then you're also less burdened with distractions. And I think that that's really liberating. It's nice just to know, like, this is what I'm going to do today. It's not necessarily a lot, but it's something that I know. I know how to measure whether I've done all of the things that I committed to do. It's not ambiguous. It's not complicated. It's very clearly defined. Sometimes life throws curveballs at us, of course. But it's just nice to have a few things that you kind of go back to. And you don't go back to the drawing board and question them. You just continue to stay the course, and I think when you do that for long enough, then you start to get good results. It's just, it takes a while before that happens. So, there is our trailer of Halloween treats. Cute little skeletons, huh? It's not going to be a very long trip. Nice little short ride. Now, what if everything we did was focused on the recurring theme of building up instead of tearing down? Think about this in our lives. So often we focus on tearing other people down, criticizing other people, getting agitated with people when they don't live up to our expectations. Maybe getting frustrated with ourselves when we don't meet our own expectations. But if we just focused exclusively on that idea of doing no harm, celebrating things that are good, living a life that's uplifting and positive, avoiding being competitive in a way that compares ourselves to other people, avoiding things that put us in a position where we feel like we have to grind endlessly to complete something. Just enjoying every day. What would we stand to lose? And the answer is we stand to lose nothing, because that would be a good life. I was listening to a sermon, an old sermon by somebody who lived a long time ago, probably more than 100 years ago. And the theme of that was being content. And there was this apostle that said, in the Bible, I've learned how to be content. The preacher said, it's not in human nature to be content. It's something that has to be a learned discipline. And that's so true. Our base nature is to be frustrated and discontent all the time, always looking for something new. Always trying to find more content. Never being satisfied with things just the way they are. And yet the truth is that fewer choices ultimately lead to better mental clarity many times and more satisfaction. But we're always afraid of missing out. We're afraid that if we don't dabble in everything, then we're going to wind up being dissatisfied and we're going to have a life that was incomplete. But we don't need to dabble in everything, because life is complete just the way it is. And I was thinking about how you can be discontent because maybe you don't have things that you want or things that you need. But then there's another kind of discontent. And that's the discontent that comes from success. Because sometimes we have life go well for us, and if we don't know how to be content, then even good things become a form of anxiety. Right? It's like, let's say that I was going through a really, really bad time, and I don't have enough food to eat, and I am living in poverty. Maybe I'm in a situation where there's war going on. Just think about that kind of situation where life is really, really bad. Well, then maybe I would be stressed out because I would want to be free from that adversity. I'd want to get out of that bad situation. And yet, what happens when I find myself in really good times? Does my overall happiness increase, or does my stress just take a different form? Because then I'm worrying about, do I have the best car, or do I have that house I want, or do I have the right gaming PC or whatever it is, right? So what I'm getting at here is that when we think about contentment, there really just are two types of people. People who are able to be content in any circumstance, whether that's in blessing or in peril. And then other people who can't be content. And it doesn't matter how much blessings they have. It doesn't matter how much good makes its way into their life. People who aren't content are never going to become content as the result of some sort of external factors. You're either content or you're not. Like I'll tell you, just today, I was excited to play Cities Skylines 2, and you'll see that I do have another few videos on that. I started playing that game and uploading the gameplay from that. But I'm on a Facebook group for Cities Skylines, and there's a lot of people looking forward to that game. And there's been a lot of people saying bad things about that game because of performance issues and things like that. So far, I haven't really detected a lot of performance issues. It seems like it runs more or less all right for me, though I guess as you go, it might start to clog up and bog down as you build a bigger city or something. But what I'm getting at here is, if the game doesn't work very well at launch, I'm not particularly worried about it, because I could play other games. I could do other things. I had that game in my library this morning. I was looking forward to playing it. Had it pre-installed, and then when it went live, of course I could play that game. But, you know, there were other things I wanted to do today. I had household chores to get done. There's a snowstorm coming, so I was getting a few things kind of stocked up at the store and getting ready for that. I wanted to go outside and just enjoy being outside. So I went out and I was doing some other things and just getting things done and taking advantage of the day that I was given. And playing that new game was one of the things that I wanted to do today, and I did do that today. But I had other things on my mind. I didn't just roll out of bed and immediately turn on the computer and play that video game all day long. I had other things that were, I could have if I wanted to, but I had other things to do. So, you know, there's no way that I would be one of those people on that online message board being angry because performance issues didn't live up to my expectations, because I don't really have any expectations for the game. I think it's cool that it came out. Absolutely. It seems like a pretty amazing game. But it's also not, it's not a big deal one way or another. You know, and I think what I'm getting at is people will be so frustrated because they put so much emphasis on these expectations, you know? And then they get disappointed because what if things don't live up to that? But if you just say that life is good today, then, you know, what more is there, right? You get up, you do the things that you're called on to do, you serve, you consume less than you're given. You know, that's how money works, right? Like, people say that money's the root of all evil, but that ain't true. Because if you think about it, money is something that we gain essentially as credit that society gives to us, because somebody says, thank you for what you've done. And so in exchange for what you've done, you get credit that you can then cash in later on. So if you save your money, then what you're doing is you're proving, by the numbers, you're proving that you have given more than you've taken. And people will say, well, money is something that greedy people have, but really it's kind of the opposite in many ways. Which isn't to say some people don't get their money in ill-gotten ways, but if you save some of what you earn, you fulfill your obligations and your commitments in life, you keep things simple, and you prove the ability to be faithful, to be a good steward of the things that you have in your daily life that you need to do. You know, you wash your dishes, you clean your clothes, you sort your laundry. It's all that little stuff, right? I'm not saying that it's that big of a deal. It doesn't feel like it's a huge accomplishment, but when you just do those things, you know, I can't tell you how nice it is just to know that all my bills are paid all the time. You know, and there was a time in my life when that wasn't true, when I didn't really balance my life very well, and there's always something that I was falling behind on, whether it was something I needed to get done or it was obligations that I felt I couldn't meet, or it was bills I felt I couldn't pay. Just fulfilling your obligations, being faithful in all the small things, being grateful regardless of what season of your life you find yourself in. These things are meaningful. And then just staying the course. And what you're doing today is what you're doing tomorrow. Yes, sometimes life will force us to change our methods, to change our behaviors. But having a sense of something consistent, something you can fall back on, it can add that ballast you need to be okay in the storm. And I think it's kind of crazy that we have this tendency when things are calm to manufacture a tempest. And then we say, well, you can't expect things to always be hunky-dory and peaceful because life isn't like that. Like sometimes life isn't easy. So that's true. But you don't have to go out of your way looking for trouble. It's okay to have a peaceful, calm, balanced life. That's how it should be. And then when danger and challenge is thrust upon you, then you step out of your comfort zone. You do what you have to do when the time comes, absolutely. But that does not mean you need to be just going out of your way, trying to make life harder than it needs to be. There's a lot of value in just enjoying the life that you've been given, being satisfied with the decisions that you've made, being quick to forgive and quick to let go of things, because the truth is, no matter how much we want to be, if you will, the right kind of a person, as much as we want to be forgiving and tolerant and patient and consistent, all of that, the truth is we're always going to drift off center every day. You can say, I'm going to be patient, I'm going to be kind, I'm going to be, the model of everything that I think I ought to be. And that's true. Maybe you will. For a few minutes. Until somebody says something you don't like, till somebody asks something of you that you think is unfair, it's just going to be a little matter of time until something gets under your skin. And that's okay. It's just you don't have to live in that forever. You can let go of these things quickly. It's one thing to have a bad attitude for 5 minutes and then you get over it. And maybe nobody even knows you had a bad attitude because you just didn't have anything good to say, so you didn't say anything at all. And then you check yourself and then you move on. That's all right. That's healthy. And then you use that as a guide to let you know, like, okay, this is not bearing good fruit in my life, so maybe I'm going to, try to put myself in a different situation so that I'm not feeling antagonized and stuff like that. But you don't have to live in that moment forever. It's one thing to be frustrated for a minute. It's another thing to be frustrated for the rest of your life. So be consistent, be a good steward, and even if you don't necessarily feel it, just stay true to the course you set and believe that all things work together for good, because truth is, usually they do. So that's another job in the book, and that's another little talk today. Good luck on your adventure. Till next time, thank you for watching.